Episode number 199.
Hello, you're listening to the Career Changemaker podcast. Having the courage to leave a career that you have worked hard to build and try something else can be tough. So in each episode, we dive into key career change strategies so that you have a clear understanding of what is required to transition into a new role or a new industry without feeling like you have to start at the bottom or have to take a massive pay cut, because #ain't nobody got time for that. If you are ready for frank and honest discussions about how to become a career change maker, keep listening. I'm your host, lawyer turned career strategist and executive coach, Janine Esbrand. Hello, how are you doing? I hope you are doing well. I'm jumping on to talk to you about why metrics matter in your career. When we look at people who do really, really well versus people that do okay in terms of their career development and advancement, one of the common themes that I have noticed amongst people who seem to accelerate in terms of their career development and advancement and them really getting to where they want to get to sooner is that those people pay attention to metrics. They pay attention to metrics, and metrics matter. And so I want to talk about that because I think it's something that is simple, but not necessarily easy to pay attention to when you are busy, when life gets busy, when work gets hectic. So let's dive into this. So metrics, why do they matter? Well, when you pay attention to things, it's easier for you to see those things grow or see those things develop. So when we're thinking about metrics, what we're really thinking about is measurement. We're thinking about what should you be measuring when it comes to your career and your career development. So there's two main areas that are supported by you tracking your metrics. Okay, the two main areas that are going to improve if you track your metrics. Number one is your performance, and number two is results. So your performance and then the results that you're getting for your organization, the results that you're getting for your clients, the results that you're experiencing on a personal level. So I'm going to break down the first one into 5 steps. So this might be one where you want to grab a pen and paper so you can revisit it. So metrics matter in terms of your performance. Now, if you're not tracking what it is that you're doing, it's really difficult to say whether or not you're doing well. Oftentimes when I speak to people about where they want to get to in terms of their goals, the goals are often a bit vague initially. Until we drill down and we get more specific, they can be quite vague. And the question that I like to ask people is, how will you know when you've got there? If your goal is vague, it's going to be hard for you to determine how you'll know when you get there. So for example, if I say to people, okay, like when you start your role in the first 90 days, what kind of impact do you want to make? How do you want to feel at the end of the 90 days? And when people say to me, well, I want to feel more confident, I want to feel like I can confidently do my job, I want to feel like I can confidently show up, I have to ask the question, but what does that mean? What does that mean? Because confidence to me and feeling confident is going to look different to what confidence means to you and what feeling confident means to you. Okay, so when we're saying things like I want to feel more confident, or I want to make more of an impact, I want to show my value, what are we saying? What are we actually saying? So the first thing to really pay attention to is the fact that if you want to measure something, you need to make sure that it's measurable. And you may well have come across SMART goals in the past where you want to make sure that it's specific, that it's measurable, that it's actionable, that it is results driven, that it is timed, right? But it is really, really important that you get specific about what is it that I'm actually trying to do, so that you know when you get there, so that you're able to measure it. So if you're saying, well, I want to feel more confident, how will you know when you're more confident? Maybe you'll know when you're more confident when you actually start sharing your perspective in meetings. Maybe you'll know you're more confident when you actually volunteer yourself to stand up and do a presentation. Those are just 2 examples, right? But thinking about what is it that I am actually saying when it comes to what I want to measure is the first thing, and that's really, really important. But when it comes to the types of things that you can be measuring and what you can be using to measure your progress. So once you've defined what the goal is and where you're trying to get to, it's like, okay, well, how am I going to measure that I'm getting there? Here's a few ways that you can do that. So the first is feedback. If you are going through the motions of your day-to-day and hoping that you are doing things well and hoping that you're making a good impression, that's not good enough. Hope is not good enough in this regard, because you don't need to rely on hope, because you can ask a question. So rather than waiting for the annual review when you're going to get feedback about what it is that you've been doing, ask for the feedback when you need the feedback. If you want to know whether or not you've been doing well, ask for the feedback. If you want to know whether or not you're missing something, or whether or not you could be approaching your task or approaching your role in a different way or a better way, ask for feedback. And I know it doesn't always feel comfortable because everyone else is busy and you don't want to feel like you're taking up people's time. But the reality is, if you ask for feedback and that's going to help you to increase your impact or improve your performance, that's going to be overall appreciated by your line manager or those who are above you, right? So you want to be making sure that you're asking for feedback. I remember when I moved into my first legal counsel role, I was working as a corporate lawyer before, and then I moved into the role as legal counsel, and I was in there doing the work, and 6 months went by and I was like, I don't even know how I'm doing, because this is like the first legal counsel role that I've had. This is the first time they've hired a legal counsel internally. So how do I know that I'm meeting the expectation? So I reached out to the MD and was like, can we have a review? Because I want to know how I'm doing. And he was kind of like, why do you need a review? You're doing fine. And I was like, well, that doesn't really tell me much. If you just tell me I'm doing fine, I don't really understand what that means. I need a little bit more context so that I understand what I need to work on and how I can be improving. And so I called this meeting. He came to the meeting reluctantly and was like, why are we even doing this? But I had my specific questions that I wanted to ask him about whether or not I was approaching certain tasks in the right way and how I could be improving. So for me, getting that feedback was important. So then I knew, okay, I've done this for 6 months. What do I need to improve? How do we need to move this forward? So you can make it a point to ask for feedback on a regular basis so that can support you with your performance and the development around your performance. The other thing too is asking yourself, how visible am I when it comes to management? How visible am I? That's a good metric. Do people know who you are? Do people know your name? Do you have conversations with people who are making key decisions? How visible are you? That's a good tracker of your performance, because if you're just doing work and you've got your head down and you're just getting it done, but nobody knows about it, that isn't necessarily going to help you in terms of your performance. It's not going to help to increase your confidence, and then it's not going to help you to get in front of more opportunities or new opportunities that are going to stretch you. Right? So make sure that from a visibility point of view, you are getting visible and you are seen and you are known by the right people. You need to be seen and known by the right people. The other thing is asking yourself about the quality of the work that you are getting to do. The quality of the work you're getting to do. If you are performing well and if you are making an impact, you are going to have the opportunity to do great work.
Are you somebody who loves learning, loves reading books, loves digesting podcasts, but you're short on time? If that's you, then you are going to love today's sponsor. Blinkist is an app that allows you to digest the leading names in books, and Blinkist is an app that allows you to learn a lot faster. They have taken the time to summarize amazing books by leading authors so that you can take away the key points without having to read through the whole book. And they've just started summarizing podcasts too. It's an amazing app and it's going to be an absolute game changer for you. So if you want to start learning more in less time, start off with a free trial and get 25% off if you choose to sign up by heading over to careerchangemakers.com/Blinkist.
You are going to have the opportunity to work with great clients. You're going to have the opportunity to do more complex work. And so it's important that you're assessing, am I 6 months into this role, a year into this role, am I still doing the same types of work and same level of work that I was doing before? And if you are and you're not happy about that, then that's an indicator that something needs to be done in that regard. Maybe that means you putting your hand up for more opportunities, or maybe that means you finding out what's the gap and what you need to do in order to get exposure to the type of work that you want to get exposure to. And then the other few things that you want to be tracking from a metrics perspective when it comes to performance is, how are you as a person? Like your mental health, your physical health, those things matter. Oftentimes we can really focus on doing the work and doing it well and getting your head down and doing what needs to be done and getting the results and all of that. But recognize that you as a human being need to be able to show up, and you need to sustainably be able to do the job that you sign up to do if you want to make a long-term impact. And so if the practices and the habits that you've developed around your physical health are not great, i.e. skipping lunch, working really late, not getting enough sleep, not exercising, not eating well, all those kind of things that many of us are guilty of. If you find yourself doing that, in the long term, that isn't going to help you to have a brilliant performance. If you're not getting enough sleep, if you have a foggy mind, you're not eating the right food, all of that can impact. At the end of the day, whatever you put into your body is fuel. It's fuel. And you can put fuel that is not so good or fuel that is great. And the fuel that you put in is going to impact the performance of the machine that is your body, right? So paying attention to that. If you are setting up your work day so that you're not able to look after yourself in the right way, that is going to be impacting your performance in the long term. And the same for your mental health. Like, what are you putting in place to support yourself? Particularly now, like we've gone through such a tough time over the last few years and moved into a completely different way of working for many people in terms of remote working, hybrid working. And so adjusting to that isn't always just a click of the fingers for many people. It takes time, it takes process, it takes intention. So you really thinking about, what do I need to feel fully supported so that I can execute in this role? So all of these things are things you need to be paying attention to, and things you can be measuring. Like, okay, have I taken exercise this week? Have I eaten well this week? How many times did I go to bed at my bedtime this week? Have I done something for me that just like rejuvenates me? Keeping track of those things, those metrics absolutely matter. Okay, so those are the areas that you really want to be thinking about on the performance side of things. So have you been getting the feedback? And if not, can I get it? Are you visible amongst the right team members? Are you considering the quality of work that you're getting and the opportunities that you're getting? Are you tracking your physical health and your mental health? Okay, those are like 5 areas that you can be thinking about. And then the other side, when it comes to metrics, so we talked about performance, but the other side is results. Results. And this is the piece that really matters to organizations. When you think about your role and why it is you've been hired at whatever level, whether you're mid-level, whether you're going into management, whether you're C-suite, whatever it is, your role is there for a reason. And ultimately, a company is in existence to turn a profit. And so various functions within the organization are there to support with turning a profit, whether that means minimizing risk, maximizing sales, whether that means improving efficiencies. There's various different outcomes that many of the roles within an organization link to. So you understand in the context of that and how your particular role, your particular output, your particular contribution is driving results. Tracking that. So often when I work with people around optimizing their CVs or positioning themselves for their next opportunity, whether that is internally or externally, the results piece is missing. People speak very generically about what it is that they've been doing. And I have to dig to ask, okay, but what was the result? Because you showed up and did X, what happened? Like, what was the why? And how did that, and how can you quantify the why? Okay, like what does that mean in monetary terms, in time terms? Like, what does that mean in terms of the work that you did and the results that you got? So getting specific with the results and tracking those, and you being very clear on those so that you're able to speak to them down the line is important. So understanding the results in terms of you individually, what you did, but then how those results then translate into larger results for the organization. Okay, those metrics very much matter. So I want you to pay attention to that. Pay attention to that. If you don't take away anything from what I've said today, that piece is the most important. Focusing on results. the metrics around results that you have achieved, that you have contributed to, they matter big time. And so when you're thinking about your career, you're thinking about career progression, advancement, growth, it's difficult for you to grow just by coasting. It's possible, but it's more difficult. It's the quickest and easiest way to grow and develop is through intentionality and understanding what am I tracking, so that I can make sure that I am moving forward along the right path to get to where it is that I want to go. Okay, metrics matter. I've understood this so much more on such a bigger scale since becoming a business owner, how important metrics are. And I think so many of us are not used to thinking about our careers in this way. I'm not thinking about tracking. I'm not thinking about making those small incremental improvements that ultimately make such a difference in the longer term. But to make the improvements, we need to be tracking. So this is why metrics matter. And I encourage you to start thinking about, what have you been tracking so far? And if nothing, what are you going to start tracking? And if you need support with this and you need accountability, because that's a big thing, we can have all the intentions in the world, but not have the accountability to actually follow through. And overall, you're looking at making moves in your career, then reach out to me and we can have a discussion about how I might be able to support you in moving forward. All about metrics. I'll be back again very, very soon. And until next time, keep moving forward towards your career goals. Bye.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe to the show so that you don't miss any future episodes. Also, I would love to know what your biggest takeaway has been from today's episode. Come over and join us in our Career Changemakers community over on LinkedIn so that you can join the conversation there.